welcome back to the Powerlifting Podcast. I'm your host, Solana Lewis. Today we have a very special guest. We have John Haack. If you don't know who that is, he is the strongest lifter on the untested side. And period, point blank period, with the highest dots. And we got to just kind of shoot the shit, talking about worlds, talking about his favorite performances he's done, comparing his competition with Brett Gibbs in 2016 at the World Championship with this past year, just last week's Russ Swoll versus Durance, and how we see them being, two major battles. Lots of good conversation. We talked about stuff we don't like about tested federations. We always got to talk about that. So I think guys will enjoy the conversation. If it's not your first time here, then you probably like us since you came back, right? So please do leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. It's very helpful for the podcast. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. All right, y'all, we are back, and Kristen helped me get a special guest on.
Hello, John Haack.
Hello, guys.
It's so weird. Hello, John.
Well, I just sent over text. I was like, do you want to be on the podcast? This is probably more for our benefit than yours.
I love how you told us.
I was like, yeah, sure.
But we need to get more guys listening to the podcast. I was like, well, everyone loves John, so I guess he will be our first.
How many episodes have you guys done?
It's a lot. She was doing this podcast herself for a long time.
Yeah, this is episode 150 right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I started 2021, and then Kristen, when did you join me? Was the end of last year?
Something like that. Yeah. I was just like, hey, do you need a co-host? And Solana was like, yeah, actually.
Out of ideas, yes.
So usually it's her when she's interviewing other people, but we figured for this one it would be fun just to have all three of us chit-chatting.
And I want to start, I love the timing because Worlds just ended, and a really big topic was the battle between Russ bigger, between Russ and Durance bigger than you and Gibbs? People are comparing it.
That's a good, yeah, I've noticed too, a lot of people comparing it. I don't know, because going into it, I think they were big for different reasons, because I think going into my battle with Gibbs, it was very much we were both very equal. We were kind of hitting the same numbers coming into the competition. It was it could go either way. He probably had a little bit of an edge with the experience. And it ended up living up to the hype. Whereas this one, it was, all Russ, everyone's just, no one thought that Russ was going to lose. So it wasn't talked about quite as much going into it, but then the upset happened and that's when it kind of blew up. So I think they're both great instances in powerlifting history for different reasons. And it's, you can't compare them, or you can try, but it's preference, I guess.
No, you're right. That's definitely the biggest difference is you had a lot of hype going into it. And I feel like your meet was the first time they built hype for any big battle. They really built it up. And this was this was definitely a bigger upset because no matter who won with you two, it wouldn't have been an upset.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was honestly, it was probably one of the best worlds all around that I've watched in probably ever, because it seemed like every weight class was a battle.
I agree.
Even the 74s, I know Perk kind of ran away with it, but there was that 5% of hope. You're like, oh, maybe Janelle can do it.
It was the hope everyone wanted because of Sheffield. Maybe if he can edge him out, we don't have to deal with him. Sheffield. But no, he had his day. I feel I think the best battle overall on the men's side was 83, but we still had, I think second best was 66. What do you guys think?
I was gonna say
93
66.
for me.
Oh,
That was third place for me. It would have been second for me. It's hard because both of them kind of turn out to be similar in the sense of who gets their lift in the end. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like everyone's hitting every single thing. It was hitting, and then deadlifts for both weight classes was like misses turned into whoever got the last deadlift actually pulled it and went. So they were similar.
Yeah, I don't remember the 66s as well. But like for the 93s, I think the crazy thing was Emil was like ahead the whole competition, and like he hit that second deadlift, moved pretty well. So you're kind of like, oh, like, all right, he's got this locked up. Like he just needs to pull like this number that based on how that second move, like should be there. And then it changed all of a sudden when he dropped it.
It did. And I was texting Steve Novi during the deadlift for 93. And we both agreed before Emil came out, we were like, he just needs 900. Like, he shouldn't do 905. Like, even though it moved well, we're like 10 kilos and a maybe. So we both were like, he should drop it. He's going to drop it, right? And he didn't drop like the 10th. We were like, okay. And when he missed it, I was like, we just needed 900. We knew it. That's what I believe. Now, obviously, like, with looking at Gustav's last pull, did he have 5 more? Probably, but I just felt like 900 when you're going out first, like at least you solidify the last lift. But
Yeah.
also, it's really, really hard to know what your competition has, so you're pulling what you can. So,
Yeah, it was a great battle all around. I was really hoping for the US sweep, but yeah.
so did you have full faith? Did either of you have faith in the US sweep? Because on 2 Hour Lives, we talked about it. Angela was like, US sweep. And me and Steve were like, I'm not betting money on that. I'm sorry. Like,
I wouldn't bet money on it, but I was definitely like, I mean, it was 100% a possibility because it was so we didn't get the 66s and the 83s and I guess the 93s. I thought the 93s were going to be the toughest one.
yeah. I think we all thought 9. Well, and 66, I thought would be very maybe. So that's what made it tougher.
I mean, what, 5 for 8? That's pretty crazy.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Kind of funny because like I remember like when I went to Worlds, it was kind of the opposite where the women's team for the US was just so dominant.
Yes, this was the men's year. Like the woman barely won. Thank God we won though. Still on top. But like the woman barely won, and men like no matter what, like we got the maximum amount of points.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the women's side?
I mean, I think there was I guess I feel like I didn't follow that one quite as much because I just don't know as many of the girls competing right now.
Yeah.
Like on a personal level, so it's like harder for me to get as hyped for that one.
Yeah.
And like trying to think of who some of the big battles. Like I watched all of them, but
so big battles were definitely 84 plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was really happy to see Solana win. That was really
Sonita.
Samina, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so see her win. Trying to think. I didn't realize I thought Alexis Jones was gonna kind of pull away with that.
I think a lot of us thought that. I mean, technically, I ranked her as second on 2 Hour Lives, but I was like deep down, like, but I think she's gonna get it. I don't know. I've never seen Alexis look like she actually hit third attempts before. Every time she's competed and won, it looked like second attempts. Like, did you have 20 more kilos? I don't know. Like every time. And this meet, like her thirds were thirds. I was like, no, you emptied the tank and that's like what you had that day. It was very, and same with Brittany Schlater. Exact same thing. I've never seen Brittany look like she pushed, and like she gave all she had. And like, that was her ceiling for the day. It was very interesting.
I wish that Amanda Lawrence wasn't such a outlier and had some competition to like push her because like, I want to see her take that next step. I'm like, oh, you were so close to pulling 600. Like, I just want to see it.
I'm waiting. I think for a long time, for a while, like with the 69s even, well, 63s, because Leah was a 63 and then she moved up. And I mean, even just 2 years ago, there was no one that really came close to her. And then kind of the Sheffield is when Corolla, that's her name, right?
Yes.
Corolla.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they totaled within 2.5 kilos of each other. So it was kind of the first time I was like, oh, damn, like she's got some competition. Okay. And so that was kind of fun to watch. I mean, maybe I'm biased too, because, it's my weight class, but I really enjoyed watching Corolla kind of win. And, at least there's competition now. And I think Amanda, it's only a matter of time. I think eventually, like, there is going to be someone who's up and coming, who's going to give Amanda a run for her money. It just hasn't happened yet.
I hope it happens. I think everyone wants it to happen. I think even she could like use. She'd probably be like, "Yeah, someone would be nice."
Yeah.
And then Agatha is just a freak.
Oh my God. She's
Nuts.
21 too.
Hey,
Crazy.
who?
Crazy. Agata.
Oh, Agatha. Yeah.
Agata.
I don't know. I think I said it wrong when I interviewed her directly. So I don't know.
We probably all said it wrong. We're probably still saying it wrong.
It's either Agatha or Agatha, but I'm not sure which one. But no, she's a freak. Like, I need to stop betting against her. I keep putting her for second. And oh my God, what made me laugh? So when I interviewed, I watched Sheffield in person, shook her hand and said like congratulations after, because it was like a meet and greet. And then later on, we did a podcast like a week and a half later. And I was like, oh, like, I mean, I was damning her out there. I bet you, like, you probably don't know who I am, blah, blah. She was like, no, I listen to you every single episode. She's like, I know you better against me. Yeah, come on. I was like, oh. And at the episode we did it, she was like, I hope next time, like, you don't bet against me or something like that. Oh, yeah, next time have more faith in me.
You bet against her again.
I'm like, I got to stop doing this.
She's probably going to say that. She's like, this is for you, Solana, because you keep putting me on second.
But to be fair, though, it was like Carlina, that was her first down meet I've seen since she's like really gone off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What happened there?
It was cool to see Cranon take third.
Biggest, what's the word? Not outlier, but like she really showed out. Like
Yeah.
that was incredible.
I did not think she was gonna like I didn't think she'd beat like Jessica Bittner. Like I didn't think that going into it. So it was really cool to see her perform as well as she did.
Yeah.
She's still relatively like newer, right? Like she's only been competing for a few years.
Yeah, like 2.5 years.
Yeah. And I feel like she still has a lot of room for growth. You know what I mean? Like I feel like she hasn't peaked yet. She still has a lot of room to.
She just started.
Stronger.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
She started yesterday.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, it was cool though, because I feel like for Cranon, it was the first meet that she really like dialed in and was like, I want to do like the best I can. Whereas I feel like in the past, just from looking at her content, it seemed like she was like just more busy with other stuff and like didn't prioritize that as highly. But now I think she's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be on a world stage, and I beat someone who's like a multi-time world champion. Okay, like, and now she's going to China for World Games, like her first ever Worlds. That's like insane.
Yeah, it's always kind of a question mark of like how someone's gonna do on the IPF stage or like an international stage too.
Well, actually, you tell us, because obviously you've been there and now you're on like different stages being untested. Like how does it feel? Like what's the feel like IPF versus you're the best in the world untested?
I would say there's nothing that compares to like IPF Worlds. Like I feel like I almost got kind of shafted because the year I did it was in Texas, which actually benefited me because I didn't really have to travel. But like the level of like production and just like care they took into like the stage and the venue at like Worlds now compared to the like shitty hotel in Killeen, Texas was just it's like, oh man, I wish I had competed on that stage. And definitely now with the World Games being raw, like that's like I don't like regret going to untested, but it would have been cool to compete at the World Games.
Oh,
I'm sure. The way you said it sounded like you may regret it just because of the opportunities that are now here that I've never been here before.
Yeah, and with like with Sheffield and everything too, it's just like it like it sucks because like when I made the switch, I feel like the untested side was almost giving a lot more opportunities to the lifters, whereas now it's kind of the opposite. Like the tested side, IPF and even USAPL, like their competition between the two have kind of bred a little bit of like trying to outdo each other, and then that's just made the tested side level up.
Yeah. It's really sad. So, like, it's crazy. Like, untested was like known for the money meets, and now you can finally win money at meets on our side. And I just started like 2 years ago, but y'all been doing that for like 10 years already.
I'm like, God damn it.
Oh.
I was like, ooh, I was like, can I take 3 years off and come back? Like, what would the reaction be? No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
Technically you can, but I
was
feel
gonna
like
say,
the people would be
Yeah,
like,
people would hate. People would
I
hate
don't
me.
know how
I
it would
would.
go.
I wouldn't do that. That would.
You might get some death threats. Like,
I
you might
wouldn't
get
do
some
that.
death
aw. When's your next meet, John?
It's in like 14 weeks.
threats. So what is it?
Yeah, it's kind of a smaller one. It's power surge.
Okay.
I guess like medium sized one. It's like an invitational one, but um not any like the big guys come to it.
Are you a big guy?
I get well, yeah, I guess, but like I don't know, not the other big guys.
Aw.
Where is it?
It's in Chicago. Well,
Isn't
or
that where Angelo works out at?
That's
Power
where he
Surge?
used to live.
did,
Yeah.
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 He's in Texas now.
Yeah, he's Texas now.
Oh, he
Got
moved?
beef with Angelo because he said I
Why?
would.
You are years behind.
Oh my God. I don't pay
Listen, you be
attention
asking
to
questions that I'm
where
like, he
people are
moved 4
moving.
years ago.
You
No,
can
maybe
tell
3 years
Angelo
ago.
on the next two white lights that I have beef with him for saying that I went and told 2K if I was natty.
We will never know.
um,
We will never know. But you got him back. When did he say that?
I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago or something like
Oh,
that.
that's 9. I thought it was a long time ago. But oh, you got him back and you like didn't give him a fist bump on the live.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why he said it.
Yeah, it could be because like truly, I got to watch that in real time, and that was the best moment I've ever seen. That was incredible. Like,
I totally did not see it, but
it's just funny because like everyone saw it. We were like, wow. So just like you were mentioning with the Mandalorians, like having no competition, like what drives you because you don't lose?
well, I mean, I guess well now I got Colton and what's his name? Uh breathing down my neck. Derek. Derek Thistle. He just had a really solid meet. So yeah, these young guys are coming up, and then I gotta make sure I'm like far enough ahead of Jesus or Perk to really dispel them, or like be far enough ahead that you can't just account it to being untested, I guess.
Oh.
So that's
So
part of it. And then I wanna go down as the number one guy ever. So I guess try and compare my numbers to like Ed Cohen, Mike Bridges, some of the other legends of the sport.
okay.
I guess people are already comparing you to Ed Cohen.
Oh yeah, but I want
I know you
to more.
feel like you haven't really like made your mark yet. You still have a lot to accomplish, you feel like?
Mhm.
Yeah. When are you gonna, what's your best deadlift? It was over like,
939.
okay. Are you ever gonna get 1,000?
That's a long ways away, I feel like. I won't say I never will, but I don't know. It's not like it's not a major goal of mine, but if I start
Yeah.
gaining, if I get to like 970, then yeah, I'd maybe like start
You'd be
thinking
like,
about 1,000.
yeah. Nice.
I love that you see Jesus and Austin Perkins as competition. Because like I wonder that like the untested side feel threatened that like Jesus is like surpassing, numbers that for the untested side, and Perk is just like dominating every single calculation that exists.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I guess I kind of look at those guys and like I just look at the amount of talent they have, and that's kind of what I almost compare to. Like, do I have more talent than them? Like if try and think like, all right, like this is what I felt like I could have gone to if I was untested or if I was still tested. Like, how's that compared to what they can do? And I mean, it's all hypotheticals, but it's still fun to kind of think about.
That's cool. You said you were looking at Sheffield. Did you watch all of Sheffield like the last 2 years?
Yep.
Awesome. So overall, like looking at how much the tested side is growing, do you think the untested side will start to like step it up in any way? I just feel like you got like it's starting to dwindle back a little bit. And I'm
Yeah.
not hearing about the big meets anymore. And I'm like, why not? Like people aren't even posting as much as they used to. I'm like, I find it interesting.
I think SBD is like the biggest reason for the tested. Like we need some big company to almost like take over, and I don't know who that is on the untested side. I just signed with them, so maybe I can kind of get them to do it, because I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the early or like 2013 powerlifting, but there was a meet called Raw Unity, which was a really big untested meet, and my second meet was Raw Unity in 2014, and Animal had like a really big roster of all the top guys, and basically they told all their powerlifters like, you have to do this meet, and that's still one of my favorite meets that I've done, just because it was like every guy that was a top level lifter was at this meet. And yeah, that's what we need to get to. So hopefully some company comes around and does that.
What about Iron Rebel?
Yeah, try and get them to do it. I know, like, I mean, USPA is trying to do the whatchamacallit, the like Iron Built games. I think the other problem with the untested side is like there's so many divisions, because there's like wraps, under like no wraps, and so that just divides up the money even more. So then
with
like for the Iron Belt games, there's men, women, tested, untested, and then wraps and no wraps. That's like eight different ways that you're splitting the money. So even if the total payout's like $50,000, it's like first place is only a few thousand, and it's just like not worth it for me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the story of all powerlifting at this point. Like, even with the split with USAPL and Powerlifting America, it's like great. It's like now you have the talent split.
Yeah.
And it's just annoying. Everything makes it just annoying. Like,
it seems like all the number one people in the weight class are going back to the IPF now at this point.
This is the first year where we can see the light. Like since the split happened. And I was
gonna say, like, when it first happened, I was like, I think I'm team USAPL. Like, it seems like they're doing a lot more like for the lifters, which I was liking. And then I don't know, IPF, and Sheffield lived up to the hype, and I was like, all right, IPF's got it figured out.
I think SBD is kind of behind a lot of it, but yeah,
sure. SBD's got it figured out.
Yeah.
But they have such a big hand too in Powerlifting America, so it makes it so much better.
Yeah, that was hard. Like, when everything happened, I had Pete, where I was on the phone with him, and he's like, like, I support you either way, but like, are you going to stay USAPL or Powerlifting America? And at the time, it had just happened, like the split, right? So everyone was still like USAPL or team USAPL. And I mean, it kind of sucked, because like the first nationals, it was kind of like it reminded me of nationals 2014, the first year that I had ever competed at nationals. It was just like in a hotel, and it was a lot smaller. And
PA Nats or USAPL?
Yeah, the first year that they did
it. That PA Nats, like the first was like,
were you there?
No, I wasn't there, but I remember like watching the live stream. I was like, oh, this is like kind of sad.
Yeah, I watched the live stream. Remember, I was in Texas and I saw you because I was working at USAPL meet. So I went to stop by after.
That's right, because you went to the barbecue.
Yes, I did.
I thought it was really funny too, because it was like clearly like one person in each weight class that was like the favorite, basically, and then like the drop in talent to like the next people was like so much.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a qualifying
Qualifying.
total the
Yeah.
first year. It was just whoever signed up could compete. You just have to do a meet. But I think, yeah, it's shifted a lot where it was like USAPL, and then it seems to be that what people are doing is as they get more experience or they're winning. So because USAPL still has more meets around the country, it's like you just kind of get your feet wet and you practice, and then as you get better and competitive, then you are making that switch to
Yeah.
PA.
Yeah.
So that means Solana is gonna be, we'll see Solana at nationals soon.
It will inevitably happen at some point, but
Yeah.
I'll be doing USAPL nationals this year, so I don't know. But
What do you guys think of the jury overruling and the
Oh my God.
bench depth rule?
oh, so specifically bench depth, that was horrible. Like the only inconsistency they had this year was bench depth, which says more than last year. Last year altogether, the jury was horrifying. This year it was at least just bench depth, and it actually seems to get better as days went on. But specifically day one,
I think
like,
also that was also like the lighter women who like
yeah,
they're disproportionately screwed by the bench depth rule.
it's just not fair. It's just not fair, like at all. And
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me
that
because
poor
I still feel
Vicky
like
bombed out. I was mad. It was
which one?
Vicky bombed out 47s, and she would have gotten like third place to their total. And she got her opening bench. Like horrible. I hate it. It makes no sense. And you're looking at it, and I'm like, people kept comparing screenshots, and you see screenshots of ones that made it and ones that didn't for the same person. You're like, that's the same lift. It's
Yeah, it
the
was
same thing.
confusing. Like I'm probably one of the few people that'll say like if I see some like a Sean Noriega style bench press, like super arch, max grip, I kind of look at it, I'm like, this looks stupid. Like I don't like this. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the bench depth rule is
I
working.
don't, it's like I don't know how to say this. It's not that I dislike it. I think how they're going about it and the rules for it don't make sense and just leaves a lot of open to interpretation. But I do think that like there was a point where it's like some of these people are just bringing their chest to the bar,
Yeah.
essentially. And I'm like,
I was,
just
I was joking with my friends. I was like, we should get like a fourth ref who's just a very normal person, like doesn't even really lift, and they get like 1.1, or like their life is worth like 1.1. And it's like if a lift looks stupid to them, they can red light it. And if it's like a 2-to-1 of the other refs, then it's a no lift.
Wait,
Or
because
the opposite, where it was like maybe it wasn't quite like maybe they hitched a little bit, so it's like a 2-to-1 lift, red, but like they really grounded out. It looked awesome. The person who doesn't really lift, like they see it and they're like, damn, that lift looked cool, like white lights. They get the lift.
so we talked about this also on To My Lights, where it comes to Angela was like, I think you just be like, if it looks stupid, you get a red light. If it looks not stupid, you get a white light.
I agree with that.
But what Yuristin was saying, so yeah, any rule that's subjective and not objective is going to make it very hard to judge. And there's no way, in my opinion, to make bench depth ever objective at all. So even with like the people who used to bring their chest to the bar, which was just not a large percentage, it's like, okay, but if there's no way to really judge it proper or in a good way, that's not screwing people over, having them just like destroying their opportunity to like win over stupidity, and just people at a jury who are old and looking at it and saying, oh, it looks like it's high. Like then we should just leave it alone completely. Like, do you have an idea for it to be objective?
Um, Probably bring the grip in. Maybe different grips for different weight classes. Like, yeah, I got shit on this one time on Reddit because there was like a Reddit thread that like, what's your unpopular opinion? And I was like, I don't think 100-pound female should be able to put their hands at the same like
Grip.
grip width as like a 400-pound man. And I got called sexist for that. And I was like, okay, well, like I also think like a 200-pound man shouldn't be able to do that.
That was an idea thrown around in the beginning when the rule came out. That was the only one that was objective. Do I like it? Not really, but at the same time, at least it's
Like
like
I think
really
it's tough because it's like if you move up a weight class, then like do I have to like learn how to bench different or something
different.
like
Yeah.
that? But I don't know.
That one doesn't sound, or if they just brought it in indefinitely between all lifters, I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
Ow!
Because
pinky on
there's
the
some
ring.
like, they call it like the Japanese grip, where it's
I don't
like,
think you're supposed to say that anymore.
what else is it called?
Look at you. What are you doing to our podcast?
But that's what it's called, right?
No,
Yeah,
it's called isn't it talent group now? No, that's not talent. Talent's the pinky thing. Oh, I
I
forget
think you
what's
can call it the Japanese grip, but I think a lot of people didn't like it called the Jap grip.
Well, I said Japanese.
I know, I was joking.
You're gonna make me
I don't
feel
know.
bad.
That's
But the grip where it's you put your index finger and then like
yeah.
rest of your hands are kind of contorted or something. I think maybe get rid of like you can't do that. I didn't really
but
see a lot
people were I
of
didn't see
things,
that once at World, so like that's not even a concern. Like
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if there's really a way that you could objectively do it unless you did like you know, it has to move 5 inches or 6 inches or
objective.
something, but
The
no one's
measure.
gonna be sitting there measuring it between each lift, so who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. I thought at least though, like I said, besides that, it seemed like every other call was pretty consistent. I even had people talking about like, the controversial call for Russ's third squat, and people who were in person said like it looked higher than the rest of them. And a lot of people were talking about how like it's their first time ever going to Worlds, like people who were in the audience. And they were saying that they finally understand how like in person looks very different than like on the screen. And I'm like, oh, see, I've only ever seen it on the screen. So to hear that was helpful because a lot of people were like, that was definitely not high. But people in person were like, it was definitely higher than every other squat. So
Yeah, but like for me though, I think that like the number of good lifts that were overturned is my issue with it. Where if two people that are like closer to the lift see something and they're like, this looks good to me, I think it should be like unless it's like they miss something like egregiously bad, like that was lift was like 3 inches high, then yeah, the jury should be able to overturn it. But if it's like that was pretty borderline, I think they should trust the people who saw it in real time and thought it looked good.
Yeah, there's a lot of overturning, it seemed like, from the jury. So it's like now even one red light, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I
it
still,
was like almost like a 50-50 if you got two people.
yeah, like even, yeah, if you get one red light, you still are like, did I get it? I don't know. So I guess that kind of, would suck as a lifter as well, because then you have to wait and you're like, okay, is it going to get overturned? Is it not? So yeah, that would be, you have to, I think, after watching this Worlds, you have to make sure that your technique is on point and that there is no room for error. They cannot question your depth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
what do you think about, the USAPL makes it now so that 3 white light lifts can be overruled by jury?
That's dumb.
3 white lights can be overruled.
Yeah. In the USAPL. As
I
of
don't
like, I don't even know when, 2 months ago, but like no one knew about it until the Rising Tide Me I did because they started to overturn 3 white lifts and no one knew what was happening. And then all of a sudden, like, yeah, it was changing the rule book. And like, there was no attention brought to the change that recently happened. They just
Really?
changed the rule book and like didn't even send an email out.
Damn.
I think I remember like seeing something about it changing, but yeah, like I was like, that's stupid.
That's really dumb. Like, that's like, okay, why are the referees here?
Yeah. At that point, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would suck.
That's bad.
How I feel about that.
John, what is your favorite meet you've ever competed in?
Oh. Probably Worlds.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably like my favorite. I have a few favorite like moments, but that was like the best meet, I'd say. I think just like nothing beats being able to say like I represented my country on the world stage and just that feeling. And then Yeah, to know, like, definitely the untested side, the standards aren't nearly as high as IPF, and to say, like, yeah, I competed at the highest standard and, went 9 for 9.
I feel like
Um,
technique though, like no one's really questioned. Like you're always hip depth. No one's ever said like you have your range of motion sucks on bench, or I think most people are like, dude, you know how much strong you'd be if you squatted low bar? How often do you get that?
yeah, I get that a lot. But like, I mean, like my last meet, my squat, I think the angle made it look a lot higher because it was like kind of low and from the front. Um, I watched like another angle and I was like, okay, that looked good. But yeah, a lot of people are calling my squat high. And then obviously like my deadlift, it was one of those things where like I would watch it 10 times and like 7 times I'd be like, yeah, that looked good. And then like the other three, I'm like, I might have hitched that a little bit or like ramped it a little bit.
Did you get called?
No, I didn't. I had two for one.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So like it probably would have gotten called at IPF Worlds, I would assume, but or it would have
Rules.
maybe
Or
gone
then
over.
overturned
At
Yeah,
minimum.
the jury. Well, thank God they don't have a jury at WRPF
that's
or
true. Yes.
okay.
Wish they had one at all.
No.
I think I'd go well.
Yeah. We'd have too much roid rage happening.
I literally was thinking Roy Rage alone would make that jury like they would have to fear for their life.
There's some scary untested lifters who would freak out, and yeah.
It's so funny going like from because I've been to both meets, right? Like where I've gone to tested meets and competed versus untested. And just like the people who are there and just the environment is so different.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? It's like
There's a lot more beers drunk at untested
Yes.
meets.
yes. A lot more, yes, agreed.
Like
A
it's
lot more like heavy metal kind of
yeah, I
meetup.
always see like the pictures of the banquet after Worlds, and I'm like,
Everyone's dressed up
it's
nice.
it almost looks like a middle school dance kind of versus like the untested side is just debauchery.
Really is. I'll never forget when I saw it was whatever showed on me was like the one where Tamara first broke the world record deadlift.
Okay.
2021. I forget where it was, like Kansas City or something like that. But I'll never forget that's my first ever untested meet. I flew out there because I was like, you know what? I want to go on untested meet and have friends competing too. And I was just sitting there and I was like looking around. I was like, there's so much alcohol and people are just yelling. This is just so like I have never experienced this before. Like it
I
was
think it's
very
funny because I was
different,
like,
very intense.
which I always think it's funny because I'm just like, man, why are we drinking so much? Like our livers are right. Like
That's
I know I saw how many orals you took. Like your liver's not doing well right now. I'm like, I'll have maybe like a beer or two, but some of the guys like go crazy.
Is this after the meets or like
Yeah.
while they're competing?
Well, I know some guys that'll do it during the meet.
Oh my God. I couldn't imagine. There's no
Yeah,
way.
I didn't
I
either.
do. I have seen tits. They really be drinking during the meet. The wasn't. Oh my gosh, Dan Bell drinks
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
what I was thinking of.
during meets.
Yeah, he'll just be
Like
crushing like a 30 pack.
I went to a Florida meet, didn't know he was gonna be there, and this was like 2 years ago, and I was like I was astounded. I was like, this man is sweating bullish because he's big, and like he's just profusely sweating and drinking beer, and I'm like, then that doesn't seem to make sense. Like, wouldn't you want some Gatorade or something? Like a lot of sweating,
Water.
a
Like
lot of sweating.
I think it was probably hybrid. It was definitely in Miami. And yeah, we went out to dinner and we like ended up going to the same restaurant as Dan Bell, and he was leaving as we were coming in, and was double fisting beers, and I was just like, man, how are you doing that the night before the meet? Like that's for like I cannot. I'm like when I start meet prep, it's like 12 weeks out or so, and I'm like, all right, no more drinking for these next 12 weeks.
Yeah, when I used to drink, I would, yeah, like 10 weeks out, but okay, like I'm going for like 1 or 2 drinks a week, 2-0.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have none, and we're gonna see if we can do it.
Like I was like, that's impressive. Like you guys are built different.
And he still does well too. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what is Dan Bell like ranked currently? He's definitely,
It's number one for raps.
is it? Okay. But yeah, like I remember this is when Cali Elite was still open and I think he was there competing and the hell Ian from he used to work at Hybrid. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I think they were rooming together and yeah, like Dan Bell was drinking and I'm like, isn't this guy competing tomorrow? Like, how is this possible? And he did well. I was like, all right, good for you.
Fascinating. You were mentioning like people taking orals. So first of all, so I'm like, I don't know nothing, right? So when
Yeah.
I went to that one meet in 2021, I saw it and I was like, I didn't realize that people can take like, I guess PEDs like during the meet to help. I thought it was just like, okay, they go in the bathroom at 5 in the morning in the dark and like put a needle in their butt, and they do that for months, and like that's what I mean. Like I thought, and then it takes months to work. Like I had this great idea. I'm like, no, you can take it and like it helps you right away.
Yeah, and then there's also like injectables they help you right away. It's really funny too because so it's called like test no ester or test suspension, and it has a very distinct smell. And, like you'll go in the bathroom at an untested meat and you're like, oh, someone just someone just took their T and E.
What does it smell like?
I can't think of
Hard
like
to describe.
kind of like an oil, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah. Ugh.
So like, okay, can you give some? I this always fascinates me. Like I don't know anything about PEDs. Can you give some insight on what a cycle could look like? Like, are cycles months and months? Or is it 2 weeks? Like, just what?
Yeah, so like my cycle's usually like 12 weeks. This one I'm doing like 14. Um, I've done a YouTube video where like I break down basically everything I take. Um, it's usually I would say most people try and kind of ramp it up over the 12 weeks. They'll start it off kind of low. It varies a lot person to person. I've gotten shit on because I've like told what my cycle is, and everyone's just like a bunch of people like, there's no like he's lying about that. There's no way he only takes that much stuff. And
Well,
like,
because whatever you take is like pretty low, right? Comparatively
yeah.
to
And
other lifters.
it's really frustrating because like going from being a tested lifter and like just saying like, yeah, I'm I'm natty, and I'm sure you guys got it too, where like you get people that like comment like steroids on your posts and stuff like that. And then go into like I started taking SARMs, and like when I started taking SARMs, I was totally honest with that. And they're like, people, there's no way he's only on SARM. Like he's definitely taking like Tren and stuff like that. And then I get on like a real cycle, I tell everyone exactly what I take then, and then get still getting called a liar. And it's just like, God damn it, like super
Oh,
frustrating.
So for the oblivious people, that is me. What's the difference between SARMs and Tren? I just know Tren's the scary one, but that's all I know.
So SARMs are like selective androgen receptor modulators, and they're kind of newer. So for the most part, I'd say they're more mild, and the side effects supposedly are more mild. Um, since they are newer, like we don't know the long-term effects of them. Um, it's kind of something a lot of people dip their toe in first when they're like, oh, I don't like steroids are scary, but this is like I'm still not on steroids while still running these, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's gray area.
so are they considered PEDs?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And that's what like a lot of pro athletes get popped for is like ostarine.
Is that SARMs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the bigger my weight class the athlete, the more PEDs they have to take. Is that the honest?
Um, Probably like pretty much, I would say. I mean like I respond super well to androgen, so like I don't have to take as much as other people to get really good results with it. And it might be the case that, individual, I would say on average, yeah, like the bigger you are, probably the more you have to take. Like any other kind of like supplement, like creatine, like 5 grams is kind of the recommended dose. But if you're like a 300-pound guy, like maybe you need, 7 to 10 grams or something like that.
Do you take creatine?
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
It's kind of funny because I like when I was natty, one of my good friends and lifting partners was Pete Rubish, who was kind of the first like
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
trend
yeah.
guy. And I remember asking that, I'm like, do you still take like pre-workout, like normal supplements? He's like, oh yeah, of course. Like,
Oh, that's so funny. I remember my mom thought that I was on drugs when I first started lifting. And then I ended up getting drug tested and she's like, I'm so glad you got drug tested. I found your drugs. And I was like, what? And it was like my supplements and the, creatine. And I'm like, God damn, mom.
when I was a junior in high school, my mom found my creatine, and like she found it when I was asleep, and I woke up to like literally like a packet of like like 15 pages of like talking about steroids and stuff like that and like how bad they are. And then I had to like pour them out, and then I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of college. I came home and I remember she like asked me like, "You're not on like supplements and stuff like that?" I was like, "Well, I take creatine." And then she like started kind of freaking out, and I was like, "Mom, it's like the most researched chemical or like
Not a
supplement." Like I
baby.
like pulled up a bunch of PubMed stuff, and then she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So wait, how did your mom feel about you as an untested lifter?
We don't talk about that.
Okay.
You ever go to your meets?
Yeah, but she doesn't.
She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, like it was actually really funny because one time we were at a UPA meet, like I was competing, and there was, like some of the untested women, like when they run a lot, it's like wow, it's kind of scary. And there
Yeah.
was a girl who was like clearly on quite a bit of gear, and she lifted something impressive. And Mom's like was like super impressed by it, and I kind of joked, and I was like, yeah, like she has more testosterone than me, and she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, she's on steroids.
She really doesn't know.
And she's just like, really? Like, I'm like,
Did your
oh
mom bring her a packet?
no, I should have had her.
She drove home and got a packet and brought it back.
Brought it back to give to this lady to tell her the dangers.
Yeah.
It always blows my mind, like regular people not understanding anything at all about lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll never forget, I was talking to a friend once. Like it was me and two other people, and we left class. I was still like in school for exercise science, and this person was like music major, and he was like talking about like he started talking about triceps. Like he tried to join the conversation, and he started pointing to his bicep and talking about like his tricep and like how he wanted to grow it, and then he just kept saying tricep over and over again. We're like, this man really, we're lost. Like he just doesn't even know the name of a basic muscle. Like I'm just like, how do you guys survive life without knowing anything about your body?
Yeah, I remember I can't remember if it was like microbiology or like advanced biology. I had a class, and like it was a pretty big lecture hall, and we were talking about we got to like talking about the hormone part, and the professor went on this like 20-minute rant about how bad steroids are, basically because he was bullied by on the wrestling team by these like two kids that were on steroids. And the whole time he was just staring at me because I was like by far the most like jacked guy in the class. I was just like, dude, I'm not on steroids. Like I did not bully you in high school, all right? Like lay off me.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
Okay. I think I got through my stuff.
We're good.
My questions.
Cool.
If you can make one change at all in life, like
In
go back
life?
like the time machine, like what would that one change be?
I kind of wish I had gotten like a second world title.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. That's tough because yeah, I kind of wish I had like stayed tested a little bit, just because like the talent level in the tested side is, or like the competition is a lot better. So, Yeah, I don't know. But like at the time, I felt like I'd kind of conquered the tested side, so that's part of why I made the switch. Um,
At the
that's
time, that was
probably the
probably
only.
not a bad idea.
What's that?
At the time, like when you had made the switch, it probably wasn't, I mean, now in hindsight,
Yeah,
because the dynamics changed, but when you had made that decision, I feel like yeah, the untested side still had like a lot of really strong, and not that they don't anymore, but there's
Mhm.
definitely more hype to it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that when I made the switch, it was basically like me and Brett as like the 83 guys, and I was like, well, I beat him. Like, who's the next person I want to beat? And,
Yeah.
there
So
wasn't
just
really
got up
anyone
to
else on the tested
93.
side.
I thought a major reason why I did it was like to win money.
So actually, my plan was so after like I won Worlds, I was kind of like, well, I don't know like exactly what I want to do. Like I'll do nationals, which I did and won, qualified for the world team again. And then they came out with the first US Open meet, which the payout was like $40,000 for first place. And I was like, oh shit, all right, yeah, I'm in for that. And my plan was thinking, or like I was thinking, I was like, all right, I'm gonna alternate each year. I want to do like this untested meet, like I'll stay natty, obviously, and then the next year I'll come back and do the worlds again. And I think I mentioned that to maybe it was like Matt Gary or someone in the USAPL, and they basically messaged me back. And like I was thinking like, okay, if I do this meet in April or May or something like that, Worlds happens in June, so like I'll have the 12-month ban for competing outside the IPF. It'll be over by the time that I would be competing in the IPF, so like I can compete at the US Open in 2017 and then compete at Worlds again in 2018. And they messaged me and they're like, well, the case is that yeah, your 12-month ban would be over by the time you're competing, but you would still be banned when you compete or when they make the selection, and we're not going to select someone who has a ban. So it'd essentially be on like a 2-year ban from Worlds. So that, and I don't know, just being kind of told that like where I can and can't compete kind of pissed me off. So I was like, all right, like screw the IPF, screw USAPL, screw your rules. I'm gonna do what I want to do and do this untested meet. So I'd actually stayed natty on the untested side for about a year and a half after I
Oh,
made the switch.
did not know that. Article 14 strikes again.
Yeah. Honestly, I remember like saying something on it was back when like Facebook was more popular, and I commented on the USAPL page and I was like, what is this rule? Like, what's the point of this? This is stupid. Someone, it might have been Priscilla, replied like, McDonald's doesn't want you to like eat at Burger King or something like that. And I was like, well, I don't get banned at McDonald's for eating burger. I could walk into McDonald's with a Burger King bag in hand and still order a Big Mac.
Yeah.
That's a stupid reason.
Yeah. The world agrees it's a stupid reason, hence why people want it to be gone. But
I think it's nuts that like they're going after coaches.
yep. So
like,
like yeah. For what?
like you're hurting like mid-level lifters too, because now like someone like Joey Flex can't go and handle people at like mid-level USAPL meets.
Yeah. It's the worst thing ever. Like I hate it with all my heart. Like I'm a coach and like I have people on both feds and I'm like, it sucks.
Well,
Yeah.
what happened to the university student who he was from, I think, New Zealand, and in order, part of his scholarship, this is like Midland University, part of
Mhm.
the scholarship requirement is for him to compete USAPL, but he's an IPF like New Zealand lifter. But part of his scholarship said you have to compete at USAPL nationals to like support the like collegiate nationals. And because he did that, now he's got a ban. And now he's suing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember hearing about that. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's ever been any follow-up for that
Doing.
yet.
I mean, this will take
It's
well
gonna
over
take
a
a
year.
while. So,
So
yeah, but it's
it'll
kind of
happen.
interesting because this is the first time where it's actually become a legal issue.
Mhm.
And I think he actually has a really strong case
Yeah, I
because
think there was like something in like Europe that was a similar case of
But
someone.
there was another case that was about different. Not well. Are you talking about powerlifting? 'Cause there was a
It
case.
was a different sport, but it was like
Yeah.
kind of a similar ruling, and they found that yeah, it was discriminatory. Or it was a legal rule basically.
Yeah. So we all are hoping. I'm gonna link it in the show notes today so people can donate to this man. I donate myself, by the way. I really need this rule to be gone. So
Yeah.
I hope it goes through. There are other people talking about how they wanted to sue before him. So I'm happy he is because his case is stronger with like the situation of like he was completing what scholarship said he had to. And hopefully he has more time on his hands as someone younger, even though he's in school. But we'll see.
Yeah, definitely would like to see that rule be removed just because I don't know. I want to see people compete against each other, and I don't want to like the fact that Rondell couldn't compete at Worlds is nuts.
Still, I talked to him in person at when was I just at? The national meet Age Division Nationals. And we were talking about how like especially when it comes to national level, some people are getting away with like doing more than one federation, but like when it comes to IPF, they care a lot. And he was like, and for me, he's like, if you're me, they care a whole lot. So like,
I think it's crazy too. Because like I feel like they've just been like changing their minds with him like every step of the way. Where they're like, oh, you have like a 3-year ban. No, wait, no, you're good. But no, wait, you did this meet during that period. So now like it's actually like 12 months from that period. And just, I don't know.
awkward. I think it got to be like 20 months or something like that. It's awkward.
Yeah.
They did 2 meets and whatever. Horrible.
Yeah.
But anywho, on that horrible note, thank you for joining us, John.
Sure. Had fun. We basically just talk shit about the federations. That was fun.
Yes. I'm talking shit about federation.
We gave them a lot of praise.
And we gotta talk about Worlds, which I'm so happy we got to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a really good Worlds.
It was really my favorite.
I'm glad that you postponed it.
Oh yeah.
I'm
probably glad you
oh
texted me
my
because like
God.
I actually was like thinking that too. I was like, oh shit, I can't like am I gonna have this like playing on this corner? Like am I gonna be
No, this is stupid. We're a powerlifting podcast. We can't be a powerlifting podcast doing a podcast during powerlifting.
While
This is dumb.
World is going on.
Like I was like, this is actually stupid. Can you please move this? I'm sorry.
It worked out.
It was not great.
Yeah, I mean, just like as a fan of the sport, yeah, I'm watching every World and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening and catch you next time on the Powerlifting